Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. In the videos ahead, I will tell you exactly how the world lost its identity and how some elite people sold their soul. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. As promised in the previous video, I am back with some jaw-dropping elements from my research. Have you ever wondered who really runs the world today? Well, let me walk you through the merciless road of reality. Our culprits are hidden in plain sight. I'm talking about the financial demons we call banks. Yes, you heard it right, banks. An entity involved in every step of your life, from your education to degree, from your job to retirement. From saving and investing to spending and lending, banks are involved in every stage of our lives. Now, let's zoom out a bit and enlarge our vision. From individual to business, from your city to state, national and international trade, banks are at the center of our economy. Believe it or not, we, Elon Musk, and the White House, we all have one thing in common. We do not rule the world. That is a privilege only limited to the large financial banks today. Why do I believe so? Well, to find that out, let's visit the epicenter of all financial evil, the United States. The US is the largest world economy, with its GDP hovering around $26.4 trillion. Back in year 2021, when the US had a GDP of 23.3 trillion USD, its top 6 banks had total assets worth $14.3 trillion. That is a 61.3% of the world's largest economy. It even surpasses the combined GDP figures of the United Kingdom, Japan, and Germany for the same year. Such concentration of economic power makes these banks too big to fail as they gain more influence over the government and policymakers. Don't believe me? Banks are amongst the largest donors to political campaigns and lobbying efforts. According to Center for Responsive Politics, the finance, insurance, and real estate sectors contributed over a whopping $1.8 billion to political campaigns in 2020 election cycle. This represents one of the largest sources of campaign funding and gives these industries a significant influence over the policymakers. Through their financial support, banks can influence legislation and regulation, particularly in areas impacting their business interests. However, sometimes the revolving door between the banking industry and the government can create conflicts of interest and lead to regulatory capture. This phenomenon occurs when the regulatory agencies become too cozy with the industries they are supposed to regulate, leading to weakened oversight and enforcement. Remember 2008? The Financial Crisis Inquiry Commission found that regulatory capture played a significant role in the 2008 financial crisis, which led to 8.7 million job losses according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. We will talk more about the disgraceful banking practices in 2008. For now, let's focus on their current demonic deeds. Now, I will tell you about the most spoiled kid of capitalism, called the fractional reserve banking. Under the fractional reserve system, a bank is required to hold only fraction of its deposits in reserve and can lend out the rest. This is how banks create money out of thin air. Let me explain. For example, let's say you deposited $1,000 in a bank. The bank is required to hold only a portion of these deposits in reserve, but it can lend out the rest to the borrowers. Let's say the bank lends out $900 to a borrower. The borrower now has $900 and you have $1,000 to spend, even though the original deposit was only $1,000. This is how banks create enormous amounts of debt to increase the money supply by repeating the same step over and over and over again. The money created here is more fake than any Dogecoin ever existed. My point being, the society is running on a debt-based system where new loans are issued to clear out the old ones. Now, how sustainable do you think it is? The ever-increasing debt burden only proves that the current economic system is just a Ponzi scheme. The question is that when and where will it stop? The United States has successfully painted a pretty picture using the deadly debt spiraling machine. And now that the most of the world is following them, the policymakers just don't dare to be the one to take the blame for the misery that they are leading this world into. The failure of capitalism is going to hurt far greater number of people than Marxism or communism ever did. The greed of all the people have led us to a dead end. The greed that was fed to the innocent population, because only the hunger and greed to own worldly possessions will lead people to borrow more. So, banks started promoting money-spending habits in the post-World War II era. These plans were successfully executed by emphasizing on selling deceptive fantasies like the visionary credit cards and, of course, the great American dream. Starting with the credit cards, the Diners Club card was introduced back in 1949 and is famously known as the first successful credit card. Later in 1958, American Express also introduced its credit card, followed by Bank of America with the launch of Bank Americard, which has now evolved into the giant Visa network. Going forward in 1966, a group of banks formed the Interbank Card Association, which later became MasterCharge and then rebranded to the world-famous MasterCard. MasterCard and Visa alone combined to a net worth of $800 billion US. Ever wondered how these helping hands of American households bagged such astronomical figures? Don't worry, I'll cover that too in a video. Now, I want to talk about the most interesting topic of this episode, the American Dream. The American Dream is a world-famous phenomenon. The word has been tossed around since the early days of American colonization, but no one has used it quite like the American bankers. These thick-skinned demons made billions and trillions of dollars through their successful advertising campaign by selling the fake dream of freedom. On the surface, it was widely used as an act of freedom for masses, intended to free them from the liability of being renters. However, what it really was, a bait to entrap the whole American population into a never-ending debt trap so you can get them working for the rest of their lives. I personally like to call it the rise of consentful slavery. But how did this all start? How did the bankers got so powerful? Well, what if I tell you that they were already extremely powerful and had been plotting numerous evil deeds to safeguard themselves and enslave the world through their top secret meetings? This is what I will talk about in the next video. I will debunk the true world order by exposing one of the greatest top secret meetings of these soulless bastards. Until then, stay safe and stay conscious.